Lesson 2. The Etruscans were a very refined and developed population. They did have an influence from the Greeks, with whom they had commerce trade. Let's not forget they had a lot of the influence in what is known to historians as the Magna Graecia, or in Greek, Megalo-Hellas. Following the river Tiber, which was navigable for the most of its extension, the Etruscan found that where the river touches the sea, in Ostia, was a perfect place for a new and important seaport. Besides, the river at the time was an important source of fresh drinking water. The Etruscan countered with a small port in the area that was called Pyrgi, that is located where is now Marina di Tarquinia. Ruins can still be seen there. Today in Rome, we have of the most important Etruscan museums of the world. Worth seeing, it shows magnificent golds and artifacts, that clearly demonstrate a degree of civilization much greater than the inhabitants of Rome. Other interesting crafts of the Etruscan can be seen in the area of Tarquinia, where their important necropolis is located, and they're very well kept and very interesting. As you can see, from slide number 1 we have some beautiful sculptures. The Etruscan period is of interest in many ways, for instance the funeral habits. The rich families, when some of their own passed, they used to dig the hole in the necropolis, and the ground that was taken out was put all around to form a small hill in which they would cut a trail towards the center, as you would do cutting a slice of cake. To get to the lower part of the tomb you typically had 10 or 12 steps to get to the room. There the body were put in beds, made of marble, and you had all around gold miniatures revealing their activities during their lives. This is how we learned a lot about them. Now, what is interesting, is the fact that in this hill that constitutes the grave, is quite high over the ground level, and there is just this narrow trail that leads toward the entrance and the steps going down to the crypt. As you go along the narrow trail, the daylight fades out, and once you are in front of the entrance is almost completely dark, even in a sunny bright day. So it's actually a very scary feeling to get some sort of an Indiana Jones effect. The city of Rome, actually the first kings of Rome were Etruscan. Everybody recognizes this period as the Kingdom of Rome, with its 7 Etruscan kings. Now, going back to Romulus and Remus. The legend was that the 2 brothers were abandoned in a basket on the Tiber River. Their mother Rhea Silva allegedly was seduced by the god of war Mars and remained pregnant. That was the scandal, and the fate of the fruit of this love was signed. They didn't die and were actually heard by a she-wolf who saved from sure death. They grew, also nurtured by the milk of the she-wolf, and one of them, Romulus, founded Rome. We also have a date, April 21st, 752 before Common Era. The place? The Palatine Hill. 350 years later the local population upraised against the Etruscans and put in place to a new order called the Republic of Rome. That will eventually transform in an empire on year 27 before Christ with the first emperor of Rome, Octavianus Augustus. So we can locate in time on the 4th century before Christ, the beginning of the Republican time with the Senate of Rome. The new order with its Senate decided they would base their growth on expansion. And that started the great saga of Rome that would lead them to rule in a very huge area for over 1,000 years. The coat of arms of Rome is its shield has 4-letter S, P, Q, R, that means Senatus Populus K Romano, translated into the Senate and the people of Rome, and its colors are red and yellow. Even today those 4 letters are present, and you can see them all around Rome on many buildings, as it still is the official sign of the city hall and the mayor of Rome. The first expansion of Rome was towards Etruria, the original place of the Etruscans, then the Y went further north eventually after France, going all the way up to Scotland. Also they moved south and conquered the Greek town of Parthenopes, who would not surrender without fighting and therefore engaged against Rome. Finally submitted by the Romans, many were killed, others made slaves, and Rome changed the name to the city, calling it Neapolis, or New Town in Latin, that with time would eventually transformed into Naples. They preferred, whenever possible, to create alliances with those populations. Typically, they would encircle them and cut off any supply for 15 days. Thereafter just a couple of officers, ready to die, would go to the local leader and offer alliance with Rome, and showcasing the many advantages of such alliance. They in return just pretended to impose some taxes to feed their army, and that the local army would become the local police or alternatively join the ranks of Rome, the defense of that territory depending from that moment from Rome. Rome also allowed that the local leader would retain his power remaining in charge, with only a presence in some case of a consul of Rome. In case the leader refused the alliance, the alternative was to be invaded the 50,000 troops stationed in the area, and all would be killed. Most of the times the leader would concede to the alliance. After a first time of battles against the Senate, in the south of Italy, Rome owned most of the peninsula. So in the case of alliances the officers would be Romans and the army was composed of local native soldiers. They retained their habits and languages wherever they went, and mainly used to conquer areas where they had no bindings, that spoke different languages, so their actions could be merciless and extremely efficient. The Senate was in charge of administrate such a wide territory. The Senate had endless disputes on who was going to lead, who's going to be the leader of the Senate, and famous characters raised and fell continuously. Man plots took place and killings of the various leaders of the Senate, but nevertheless they managed to carry on. We can say that the Senate along with the army were the engines of Rome. Now, as far as cultural background, the Greek had a very big impact on the Roman leadership. There were people against and people in favor of the Greeks. Let's say that the most refined senators and the groups of influence at that time favored the Greek culture. And therefore the other prime books at that time were written in Greek and Latin. The Republican times were famous also for the foundation of Rome. The rostra, the speeches platform located in the Republican Forum, was the place where the big decisions were announced to the public. This place is the Roman Forum, and you can find it walking towards the Colosseum on Via dei Fori, on your right side. You'll see the Republican Forum. And on the left side, you will find most of the imperial time monuments. Caesar, the maximum leader, chief of the Senate, and wise general, was assassinated on the 15th of March, of year 44. 752 before Common Era. You might have heard this expression, the Ides of March, referring to as a very bad time. Now immediately after that killing, a triumvirate took power, being composed by Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Octavianus. Obviously whoever was going to beat them, if not themselves. The new leader vowed to take revenge of the assassination of Caesar and promised they would build a huge temple in honor of Mars Ultor, the god of revenge. Lepidus was killed in battle. Mark Antony fell in love with Cleopatra and tried to march on to Rome. We have to mention that Caesar before him also fell in love of Cleopatra and together had a child, namely Caesarion. After the Battle of Actium on the coast of Croatia in year 33 BC, Antony was defeated, and took his own life, soon followed by Cleopatra, that was not willing to be paraded as a slave in the Forum of Rome, victim of a winning and powerful Roman army, that conquered Alexandria and all of Egypt. And all that left Octavianus as the only of the triumvirate. And it's him that walks into the Senate of Rome and declares himself the father of the county, the chief of the army, the leader of the Senate, the Emperor Rome. Okay, see you in the next class. Thank you very much.